Natalie Blickley here. Welcome to Build Series. And today, Tyra Banks is in the house. Can we see that?
Hi. Hi, everybody.
And she's joined by her beautiful mother, Carolyn London. Thank you both for being here.
Oh, hello.
They're here to talk about their new book, Perfect is Boring, in which they share many great anecdotes about Tyra's career and what Carolyn did to help her throughout her life, through childhood, teenhood, womanhood. So I'm so excited. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you.
What made you guys sit down and say, let's write a book?
You know, my mom and I have a very unique relationship, and so many people are like, gosh, I wish I could have that relationship with my mom or my dad or my son or my daughter. And, you know, she was that mama that was like, she's my very, very good friend, but at the same time, my mama. And she would discuss taboo topics with me, like the craziest topics, you guys, like my mom discussed with me, where she would make all y'all blush. You know, usually it's the other way around. But I think that really helped me to not feel the need to like do a bunch of crazy sex stuff and drugs and alcohol and a lot of stuff that kids were doing in my generation, because I can be like, Mama, what's that sex thing? And what's that drug do? And what's that alcohol? And, you know, she was just very forthright, which helped me to not have to try it.
Yeah, and you're very forthright in this book as well, very candid and open. You even have a little disclaimer in here that says expletives might be used.
Like if you're faint of the heart, if you're like, oh my God, that's just too much, like just put the book down. You can't handle it.
So Carolyn, what made you want to be so open with Tyra from a young age and just kind of, you know, spell it out for her, tell her how it is?
I grew up in an age when just about everything was taboo when you were talking to children. And I grew up with a mom who really didn't tell me much of anything. So I kind of stumbled through life and depended on getting information from all the wrong sources, which is usually your friends.
Today would be the internet. Back then it was like Ray Ray down the street.
So I made a vow that if I ever had children, that I was going to be open and honest with them, because I wanted to arm them to enter the world. You have to be ready for whatever. And I definitely didn't want them to pick up information or misinformation from whatever source.
Yeah. So when you were pregnant with Tyra, is that when you started thinking, this is how I'm going to raise my son or daughter, I have this plan? Or was it kind of just as life went on, you kind of figured it out?
I kind of, as life went on, because she has a brother who's 6 years older than her. So I had a son first, and then a daughter, and just looking at them and what was going on in the world at the time, I realized that like I said, I really wanted to arm them to be able to function.
Yeah. And you definitely armed Tyra, because look at all the success this woman has had, right? That deserves a round of applause. So many amazing things you've done in your career. How did your mom kind of inspire that confidence in you to, you know, get into the modeling industry and break all these barriers?
Oh, my mama did not inspire me to get into the modeling industry.
Absolutely not. That's the number one question. How did you get her into the business? I didn't.
Well, my mother put me in a pageant when I was young, and she told me to stand this way and do my, hell no. No, a girl came up to me on the first day of high school and told me that I looked like a model, and I'd never heard that before because I was very awkward looking. Y'all know about this forehead. Now imagine this forehead, but like 60 pounds lighter than I am now, lighter in terms of booty. And so I was kind of an awkward looking girl, and finally decided to do this modeling thing, but had to beg her to let me. And then over the course of me going to Paris and getting very successful, I called her one day and begged her to quit her job because it was rough out there. And so she was there for me back in the day.
Yeah, actually, I was on my second job. I was working two jobs at the time that she called me. And it was, you know, she was in Paris, and it was late where we were. And she just said, Ma, I can't do this unless you come. Can you come and be with me? And I thought I would just take a leave of absence from work for 6 months, which ended up being 20 years.
Never went back.
Never went back.
Now, were you nervous when Tyra entered the business, knowing a lot about that business and what it could do to a young woman? Were you kind of her support system during that time?
But when you say nervous and scared, hell yes. She was 17 years old.
I started when I was 15
Yeah.
in high school, and then graduated from high school and had the opportunity to go to Paris to model or to go to college. So that was like a crossroads.
And that was when she was 17. She graduated from high school when she was 17 years old. And she had been accepted at 5 universities for film and television production. She really did not have a desire to be in front of the camera. She wanted to be behind it. And when that opportunity, I got a phone call at work one day from her modeling agency that said there was a Paris scout there that wanted to talk to me about Tyra going to Paris. And I totally freaked out because it's like, wait, she's going to college. She had already met her professors, checked out her dorm room. Everything was set up for her to go to college. And then this thing hit. So.
What did you notice or realize maybe? What was the first photo you saw when you thought, oh, damn, my daughter's she's going to do this for a while. She's talented. She's good at this.
Well, my mama took my first picture. So my mom, you know how I take girls' pictures on Top Model and I give them tie-overs and I do all that and, well, this is the original tie-over person. So it's more like a Carolyn over. So my mom was a medical photographer by day, so she would take people's pictures in the hospital, or like a picture of your arm, like separate from your body. So like anatomical dissections and autopsies and surgeries. And then at night, but a hospital didn't know, is she would get crunk. So she would take that same set and then she would have her friends come and they would do hair and makeup and get wind machines that was supposed to dry down a cadaver, but they put the wind machine on the hair and they would do all these crazy photo shoots
The
together.
studio was exactly like any fashion studio. It had the backdrop, it had the umbrellas, everything was there.
And a gurney that she would push off to the side. So she did that with friends, and then after that, and there's the most gorgeous, glamorous pictures of my mom actually in this book of those days when they would take pictures in the hospital. But then my mom realized that she had a gift with hair and makeup, so she started a side hustle, which everybody needs to have their side hustle, at our house. And so she transformed our living room to a photo studio, and she had the backdrop and everything. And she would have people come, and they'd pay her money, and she'd do their hair and their makeup, and she'd take their pictures. And then our laundry room, she would convert it to
a dark room
where you develop pictures. Now, people that don't understand what that means, well, there used to be something where there just wasn't an iPhone. There was no digital film. What the heck is that?
What?
It was film, and you'd have to go into this room and turn off all the lights, Mama, right?
Yep.
And turn on the red light, and then you take the picture, the film out of your camera, like it was 1820. You take the pictures. I should talk like this because it was so long ago. And then she'd process the film and then put it in the chemicals and do all that and hang them up and make them drip dry. Back in the day. So that's how I learned, watching her do this. And every now and then she had people that would be like, you know what, maybe your daughter should be a model. She never told me that they start those. But they would say that, but I was her assistant. So cut to years later and me creating America's Next Top Model and seeing so much beauty in people and all of that was my mom, because these women would cry in my mom's arms and say that they didn't feel beautiful. And then my mom would do their hair and their makeup and develop these pictures and show them themselves, and they go, oh my gosh, that's me? And so that's what I do every day.
I taught them how to smile before she did.
Yes, exactly.
Valuable lessons learned from Mama.
Yeah.
Because what are we on now? Cycle 700 of her?
I think it's 724, cycle 24, yeah.
But you just came back.
Yes.
Has everyone been watching Tyra's Back? It's amazing. Yes. And on VH1.
Yeah, on VH1. Yeah, I left Top Model last year and decided, I wanted it to continue without me, and it wasn't super successful that way. So I said, okay, I'm going to come back, because y'all don't know, but Top Model is in 150 countries. The American version that I created and that I'm on is in 150 countries, translated all over the world. And then we have about 25 international versions. And Top Model is so successful in Asia. We have South Korea's Next Top Model, China's Next Top Model, Philippines' Next Top Model, Vietnam's Next Top Model. The list goes on and on. We even have the continent of Asia's Next Top Model. So successful. So, it's all over the world. And so I wanted to make sure my baby continued not just in the States, but everywhere.
And people were rooting for you to come back.
They
I
were
saw
all
social
rooting for me.
media,
How
yeah.
dare they?
We were all rooting.
You guys got that right.
You talk about that meme-worthy moment
Yes.
in this book too.
Yeah, the first chapter, I really do talk about that moment on Top Model when I had Kool-Aid red hair and was very raw and very real. And I, a lot of that when I watch it, or actually my mom said when you watch that, because my mom saw the unedited version. I called my mom. I'm like, Ma, I did something that was kind of crazy. And I was like, I need you to come and see. And so she watched the film and she watched the unedited version. And what did you think?
I said, you got to do this. Yeah. You release it. Let people see what you really feel in your heart about the people that you're working with. And
she said that she was watching herself, like her to me. Yeah. So there's those moments when I felt like giving up and felt like I'm just not good enough and I can't go on and I have to just like not do this job anymore and not do this thing or walk away from things. And she's giving me that be quiet Tyra talk.
Well, she says I do this thing. I say every word with my finger.
And a period.
And that's when I was
you guys
looking
know
at
your
it.
moms do that, right? Like
Right.
it's
Through
you
your teeth.
better sit
Through
your
your
butt down now. Did I create a quitter? It's like why are we pausing? Are we like rapping? Like what is that?
Did you do that when you wrote this book?
We did fight sometimes writing this book.
Oh, heck yeah.
A lot of fighting because my mom in the beginning was like the person telling me that, you need to do this and get your accountant, and be a businesswoman. This is modeling business, not modeling playtime, and then it flipped to me saying, Ma, you need to do this. You didn't write your chapters. Where are they? You wrote this whole one. It's actually kind of boring. I'm going to cut the whole thing. She's like, I stayed up for 3 weeks writing that. And I'm like, and it's boring. And it's going to take somebody 3 weeks to read it. So we got to cut it out. So there was a lot of fighting and stuff. But in the end, we're really happy.
She tough on you, Carolyn.
Hell yeah. I would see, she says that I'm too long-winded. Mm-hmm. So for me to say one thing, the sentence is from here to there. Mm-hmm. And then she goes, get to the point. And then she would chop my stuff up. So it's like, oh, well, there's a little bit of both. We had to kind of come to a happy medium, but there was some fighting. For sure.
How did you decide on the format? Because it is very much, Tyra, Carolyn, you guys go back and forth. Yeah. Did you know that's how you wanted it to be, like a conversation?
Yeah, I wanted it to be like a she say. So we're like going back and forth. I mean, there's a chapter called a period party. Has anybody ever been to a period party?
Yeah, you need to tell us more about that.
No?
About it.
Well, when I started my period, my mother threw a period party for me. And
momentous occasion.
Yes, she threw a period party for me. And then she had a basket full of every different type of Kotex and Stay Free and Tampax and tampons. Tampons to me were scary. Yeah, OB, applicator, no applicator, like all kind of stuff. My friends came over. We had a cake. We celebrated my period. So like there's all these different things that are in the book that are fun, interesting, different, and unique because perfect is what? Boring. And so, there's another chapter called 8 words to watch out for. You're going to have to get the book to find out what those 8 words are. You know what they are.
Can't say.
You can't say. But my mom took me on a train from Los Angeles to San Diego to teach me not the birds and the bees. We had that talk already.
We had more than one talk. We had the birds and the bees.
Yes. And then we had this is what he's going to whisper in your ear when you get older.
That was the honey part.
And so that was the train from LA to San Diego to give me the talk of talks. And she put me on a train because she knew that if we were in the house, I would have run out of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she couldn't escape on the train.
And what did you tell her about that guy? What would he whisper in her ear?
They have to read the book.
Because that guy ends up whispering like exactly what your mom
the exact
said.
same words. And she wasn't speaking to me about a specific guy. I wasn't even dating yet. Like I hadn't even kissed a boy yet. And she's giving me this whole talk. But that boy sure did say those 8 words. And I was like, oh my God, my mom said she would say this.
When you were that age, did you start to realize, oh, mom's giving me the right kind of lessons. Like I'm learning things that I probably wouldn't have learned if she wasn't there to teach me.
No, I thought my mom was crazy. Yeah, so when my mom is like being so raw and so real, I just was like, oh my God, my mom's crazy. But at the same time, I thought it was normal. So crazy, but normal at the same time, because that was the only thing that I knew. But then later, as I started to experience life, I'm like, oh my gosh, my mom's way of raising me was so different, but whoa, it worked. I have this friend, she's pregnant. I got this friend that's over here drunk on the floor, don't know her name. I got this friend, so I realized that what she gave me was fantastic. And the thing is, I don't drink alcohol. I never have. I've tasted alcohol, but it's not because my mom said don't drink, because my mom drinks. We go out to eat. I'm like, can I have a virgin mojito? And my mom's like, can I have a lemon drop? So it's not that she was like, don't do this, but she was just so raw and real with me that it kind of made me not want to do stuff.
Yeah. Did you ever like try drinking and you were just like, nope, not for me?
Yeah, when I was 12, there were these wine coolers. Yeah. You thought I was going to say when I was 17? No, when I was 12, my best friend, she talked like this, dude. She's like, you gotta come over after school, dude. I got these wine coolers. So like in the 80s, like it was all about wine coolers. So it's the Bartles and James brand and the Seagram's brand. Some people know that, yeah, wine coolers. And so she got the peach flavored ones. And so we were sitting on the floor in her hallway, and she opens both of them. I take 2 sips, and I'm like, the peach is good, but that other taste is nasty. I don't want that. And so she finished hers, and then she finished mine.
Oh, no.
Yes. And then it was time for me to leave, and I get on the back of her scooter. Like, scooter at the time meant motorized bicycle. Mm-hmm. Get on the back of her scooter, and we go down her hill, and she drives me to the bus stop. We had no accidents or anything, but after that, I just never wanted to have alcohol. Yeah.
When you try it young. Guys, now we know as parents, give it to them young.
No. My mom didn't give it to me. That was my friend. Dude, that was my friend. Dude, she gave it to me. Yeah.
But there are a lot of lessons in here, lessons that you taught Tyra. You talk about how one of the most important things was that you didn't want her to end up pregnant as a teenager, and you made sure that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. What are some of those lessons that you shared with Tyra? Give people a taste of what they could read in the book.
Where should I start?
Well, I mean, the 8 words to watch out for is really the specific one about sex. And the guys in the room, don't mean to put you on blast, but there's a big chance you have said these 8 words. You have said these 8 words. You have said it to a woman, and if you're gay, you've said it to a man. And everybody, you'll read that, and you'll be like, yeah, oof, I've said that. I've definitely said that. And there's nothing wrong with those words, but
I didn't want
gotta be
her
ready.
to. In the book, it explains that I was a teen mother, and I was a teen mother because of my ignorance to everything that I taught her, and I think that the biggest thing that I did was to take that curtain away. We talk about abstinence, but if that worked, there wouldn't be teen mothers. And
if it didn't work for everybody.
For everyone.
It does work for some people.
For some people, yes, but I think the majority, it does not. And so I think this, by pulling the curtain, pulling the veil away, I remember her saying that the first time she did have sex, that in some way, shape, or form, I was right there. Mm-hmm.
Which is gross, right?
Right there on your shoulder. You're just like, you're your mama.
So I think it was probably gross and comforting at the same time, because it started to click. It was like, this is what she said. This is what it feels like. It wasn't as if you had...
What sex feels like. Sorry, I keep I'm sorry, I'm like the hype man on the side. Clarifying before these become memes.
No, I didn't go that deep. No,
No.
I'm talking about up here, psychologically, what is happening up here. Mm-hmm. And so there was a go-to for her. Yeah. I think that's what's missing, is a lot of women, we don't have that go-to. We rely on the person that's presenting it to us, and listening to that and believing that. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, Yeah, just like you said, opening that curtain and letting her know that she could always come to you with questions or advice. Now, being a mother yourself, how will you kind of use those lessons from your mom for your own son moving
I'm
forward?
going to try to be as real with my son as possible. I like to say that I have a PhD in girl. You know, I've been trained by crisis counselors and how to talk to girls. You know, I had these T-zone camps and I learned how to, you know, mentor girls. And with my talk show, I learned from all of these therapists on how to deal with girls. I have a second grade education when it comes to boy. But at the same time, I think there is like a natural inherent thing with motherhood, of mothering in general. And of course, I'm going to use his dad and my dad and all of the men around my life to help me make him a strong man. And then also all of her unfiltered goodness that she gave me, I'm going to pass on to him.
You know, you mentioned being a girly girl or there for the girls. What has it been like to raise a son?
I love it so much. Oh my gosh, my little boy is just a hot mess of amazingness. So right now, he just says no. No. You guys know how kids are, right? 2-year-old.
His favorite word.
You love mommy? No. You love Nana? No. You want to go to the store? No. You want Easter egg chocolate? Yes. He only says yes to candy.
And you're like, you can't say no if you want your Easter egg.
Exactly.
But that's amazing. I'm sure it's an amazing experience, too, to watch your daughter become a mother and see her in that new phase of life. Are you still giving her advice now as grandma?
Yeah, it's the one thing I do have to say is it's so different having a daughter have her first child. My son has 4 children and 2 grandchildren, so I'm a great grandmother.
She look good, don't she?
Sure does.
But it's different because with the son, there's the daughter-in-law, and she's connected and related very closely to her mother. And with having a daughter, it was so different for me. And having the bond that we have, and then seeing this next generation of a little person and watching her communicate and deal with being a mom, it's changed her life because I see her slowing down. You know, someone asked me to describe her in one word, and I said unstoppable. And it makes me happy to see her putting on the brakes to become more involved and enjoy her personal life because she's driven. She loves her work. She loves what she does, but now she has something that brings her home.
Yeah, I've been able to find the balance. So before it was work, and some personal life, and now it's like I still work, and you guys are gonna see amazing things like Life Size 2 this holiday season, yay! And really huge projects in the future, big crazy projects. But what I've learned is like to really trust my teams and to hire good people or to get good mentors or people that can really help to make my dreams a reality, as opposed to feeling like I have to do everything myself. Yeah.
Life Size 2. Is Lindsay Lohan coming back?
I hope so.
That would be
I'm writing something in
amazing.
there. We're writing something for Lindsay, not me. I'm not the writer, but the writer is. I'm like, we got to make it nice, juicy, and good for Lindsay.
When you think about, your time doing, acting and Life Size, what do you remember from that shoot? Or did you want to continue acting after doing a few
I remember being on the set of Life Size, and what I remember very vividly is like weekends and off time. And Lindsay and her brothers and sister would come to my my room, and we would pop popcorn, and we'd watch movies. I remember her little redheaded brother, I think his name was Cody, and he was like a little baby, and now he's like modeling, and I think she had another brother named Michael and a sister named Allie. I think those are their names, just from my memory. Is that
Very
right?
good memory, yeah.
Yeah, and so we were just like a little family. So it's so interesting to see them like as adults now.
I know. Before I take this to the audience, in the book too, you mention how, we're in an age now where everybody's talking about diversity and being yourself and body image, but you've kind of always embraced that from the start of your career. But what has it meant for you now to kind of see the world embrace this. And, you know, you set the tone being the first cover girl in Sports Illustrated, and then we had another black cover girl this year. How have you seen the progression? And are you proud of yourself for kind of starting it?
I'm actually really happy. You know, I'm really happy to see diversity becoming more normal. I remember when I created America's Next Top Model even, it was like 17 years ago, and I had what we called at the time a plus-size model by the name of Robin Manning. And, you know, we would send the girls out on go-sees, and none of the designers had clothes for her. I mean, even till like 3 years ago, designers weren't having clothes on their go-sees for my plus-size girls. And, you know, I battled with, should I show that on TV or should I not? And we decided to show it because to show the industry, look what you're doing. You know, there's these beautiful models and beautiful women around the world, and you don't have clothes for them. And so now to see, like, my girl Ashley Graham, who's, you know, who is on my panel of judges, and to see so many girls, and I follow so many curvy girls on Instagram, and just to see them, it just makes me feel so proud that it's not something that I'm doing on Top Model, but this is like a real industry, and girls are making real money, and they're representing women around the world that are not just a twig.
It's amazing. And you've also opened the doors for people like RuPaul to have a show like his show on the air, and how he kind of pulled from
Yeah, it's kind
Tyra
of like a little bit
bit.
of like a spoof, or not a spoof, but like, what do you call that? It's like Saturday Night Live. They do a, what do you call that? It's not a spoof. I can't remember what you call it.
Impersonate? No, it's not
there's
really
a
an
word.
impersonation.
There's a word. Huh? Not a spin-off. It's like a parody.
Parody.
I think it started as a parody, but now it's its own like thing. Like, it's amazing. I love.
Share a network, so that's cool, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Well, I do want to open it up to some questions from the audience. So who's first?
Hi, my name is Tiffany Steele, and first I want to say it's just a blessing to finally meet you.
Oh.
I just love you both so much. My mother wanted to be here today, and she couldn't be here today. You all remind me of my mother. You know, she stood in line. I auditioned for Top Model 12 years ago, but I was 5'6", I was a little overweight, and she was in line with me for 17 hours.
Wow.
And she said, you know, you're gonna meet Tyra one day.
Oh.
It's just a blessing to finally just
Oh,
lay
you
my
have to come
eyes
up
on
here
you.
and give me a hug.
You have to come up.
Come up here and give me a hug.
That's so sweet.
Give me a hug. She's shaking so bad. Well, tell your mama I said hi. What's your mama's name?
Regina Harris.
Regina Harris. Okay, have a seat. Regina Harris. Hi,
Hey,
Mama.
Regina.
Good to see you. Too bad you can't be here, but we're sending you love.
And I just wanted to know, you know, what's the importance of having your family around when you're pursuing this industry?
Yeah. Okay, I would be a crazy person if she wasn't here. Like, I have had so many hardships, and we talk about a lot of it in this book, a lot, but I don't even cover it all in this book. And she was the person that I could be there to cry and cry my eyes out. We also need a hype man, because it's important for us to be Kanye and to not feel like we need to like shrink and dull our shine. We need that person that we could be like, yo, you see me on that cover? Yo, what? Like, that's crazy. I'm breaking records. I'm about, let's count this money. Let's count this money. You know, what does Cardi B say in Finesse? She says something like, we used to count dollars and now we like got rubber bands or something like that. Like, who can you say that to? You know, you need people that you can trust that don't feel like you have this big head. You know, so she was my celebration person where I can Kanye out. I love you, Kanye. You know, I feel like if you don't say it and you don't celebrate it, sometimes you can't continue it. And so she allowed me to dream and to brag and to have that safe place, and also to cry on the shoulder when I needed to.
And also, sometimes I had to take her by the shoulders and shake, I won't curse, but you know what I'm saying, out of her, to make her see, to make her understand, to make her face the challenges that she was up against. Sometimes with that crying, she'd want to put the covers over her head in bed and just disappear. And I would give her a little time, but then I'd pull those covers off and say, okay, get up.
Period. I'm not the period party. The pity party is over, and the period party is starting. No. Yeah.
All the same, huh? Who's next?
Hi, I've been a fan of yours like all my life. I started doing photography when I was 16, and you, along with Nigel Barker and Tyson Beckford, have been the three people that inspired me to become a photographer. So it's been my biggest dream to meet you. So it's amazing for you to be here.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I wanted to know, if you ever landed the chance to do movies again, would you start? And being that your mom comes from a photographer background and you've been in front of the camera all these years, would you ever consider being behind the camera this time?
Yeah. So, well, I am producing and starring in Life Size this year, and I am in the process of starting my production company again. I put it on hold. So we're going to be doing movies and TV and all kinds of stuff. And the majority of the things that I will be producing, I will not be in. So yes, I am going to create that again and go really, really big and create, well, I like to think of empire. Kanye, right? Creating a movie and television empire. Yeah. I mean, Top Model is its empire within itself, but creating just a general, big portfolio of movies and TV and film and unscripted and scripted. And then in terms of being behind the camera, every couple of seasons on Top Model, I do photograph my girls, and it's one of my favorite things to do. I love photographing them, and I learn, I put forth in those photos all the things that my mom taught me as a
lot of people
photographer.
think on Top Model that she's not really taking the photographs when she takes over the camera, but it's all her. And she learned from me. Yeah. So.
Yeah, on the internet, I mean, I guess it's a compliment, but they'd be like, Tyra didn't take them pictures. Like, she held the camera for a second and then somebody else took it, and I'm like, how dare you, but thank you.
Like, that's film editing. I love when you do the natural photos, when you have the girls
This
in no
season, I have the
makeup.
girls wash their faces and take a photo. And not everybody is strong that way. I'm actually not strong with, like, a washed face as a model. Like, I'm not that strong. I am the makeup girl. I am drag queens. I'm RuPaul's drag queen sister that just happens to be born female. But like, I look really good with makeup, but not so much without it. And some of my girls were strong, some of them weren't, but that's normal.
I think you look beautiful without makeup, don't we all? I think Tyra's good with
Ciao.
or without
Thank you.
makeup. But you do you. We have time for one more.
Hi, Tyra. Hi. I was just curious, since your book's called Perfect is Boring, since perfect is boring, what's your idea of perfect?
My idea of perfect is like, in terms of like beauty, it's like cookie cutter. So it's like, and everybody knows what that cookie cutter thing is. It can mean different things to people, but it's kind of a general look. An eye just so, a hair just so, a forehead this size, a chin this shape, a nose this, like, where it's just like, and it's kind of boring. It's kind of safe. And as I look at people in the audience, and like, I'm so attracted to faces. And as soon as I meet somebody, I find something on their face that I think is interesting or unique or different. Like, I'm looking at you, and you have these little puffs underneath your eye right here, which is so pretty, and it actually connotes youth, and it's a sign of youth. I have them too. I have these like puffies here too. And when I don't cover them with shadow, I actually look younger, and I put shadow on them, and then I look fierce. So there's like, so to me, it's like just these things that make us different and unique. And when it's just kind of a cookie cutter, it's kind of boring. If you remember, like, kind of on Top Model, sometimes you'd be like, oh, you're a little too commercial. It's just a little too safe. It doesn't mean it's beautiful. It's just a little bit close to what was kind of like in a box.
Right. Yeah, it's like, sometimes I look at it as there being a yardstick to measure beauty. And it's like, compared to what? Your beauty compared to what? I don't believe in the yardstick. Neither does she. Each one of us is unique in our own way. We are our own yardsticks. So.
Thank you.
I mean, now everyone wants Tyra to go around and tell them what's beautiful about them, right? We're like, yeah, we'll be here for the next 2 hours. But no, the book, Perfect is Boring, is out today, right?
Out today.
Woo-hoo. So pick it up. There's
And
so many lessons.
our audio book is hilarious.
It's in our word. It's us.
Yeah, we do the
Nobody's doing
audiobook, back and forth, crazy, and then we kind of ad-lib sometimes. Yes. She raps in the audiobook, I hype man her in the audiobook, and there's just a lot of like, Mama, you read it wrong, just read it again. I mean, it's just very like, when you're in the car or in the shower, but not with the water, and but you can listen to the audiobook as well.
And you rap? We need a rap to sign us out of this
I
film,
rap.
huh?
Mm-hmm.
She raps.
I rapped on the Today Show.
Yesterday.
Yeah, just look it up.
Thank you.
I ain't
both.
gonna do it again. And I'm on the back of the book too.
Oh yeah, turn
All
it
right.
over. You see in the back?
Look
That's
out, Mama looks fierce.
Woo!
That's the smize right there. Thank you both for being here. This has been so
Thank
much fun.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for your question.